Okay, welcome everybody to tonight's Freedom Thinking Community Group. The date is Monday, the 27th of October. That's insane. That is insane. I can't believe it. I can't believe wasn't long ago. I think it was May. We were saying it's nearly Christmas. So that is flying by, isn't it? Yeah, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you everybody who's here. Thank you so much for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time. This has been going, this community group now. I've been doing this community group since 2000. This is 10 years. It's set off in person in a homeless shelter. And then more and more people came, and to this day, I've never had it where nobody's shown up. So I'm really thankful about that. I often say my lowest point was when two people showed up, and this is no slight on them, but it just pissed me off. It was my dad and my best mate. I was like, oh God. And there was about 3 weeks in. And yeah, it's just my dad and my best mate showed up. I was like, oh, I quit. And then thankfully I didn't. And yeah, we've had God knows how many people through this community group now. So yeah, and we went online during COVID. We just went online, purely online, and stopped doing the in-person stuff, which I don't know if it's a good move or not, but it's what we're doing. It's made our life easier. Right. So no, thank you so much for being here, you lot. Um, Yeah, and thank you to everybody who watches in catch up. We really appreciate it. And thank you for everybody who comments. Thank you to everybody who likes and shares and subscribes and stuff like that. Thank you. It helps us out. It really does. And thank you to everybody who's made donations to us. We greatly appreciate it over the years. Thank you so much. We so greatly appreciate your donations. If you wish to make a donation, if you find these conversations useful, and you wish to make a donation, I always put the donation information in the description below this video on YouTube. On there, the best way for us personally is PayPal, friends and family. If you're happy to do that, that's by far the best way for us. We don't get charged, and yeah, that's the easiest way for us. Um, we have an event coming up in Essex. I'm going to wait for Jen. I think she mentioned it last week. I'm going to wait for Jen. So if anybody's interested in that event, get in touch with us. info@freedomthinking.co.uk. I think it's next month. Can't remember what dates they are. Anyway, it's in Essex, 2 days in Essex next month with Jen and myself. Info@freedomthinking.co.uk. We're also available to work with individuals, with groups, anything like that. If you're interested in working with Jen and I personally, it's info@freedomthinking.co.uk. Get in touch with us and let's arrange a call, have a conversation, see where we can go. All right, Jen is putting Luce to bed. She will be here in the not too distant future. She's pretty tired as Luce. We've just had a bath together, so she's nice and hot, conducive for sleep. All been well. All been well. Okay, I haven't got a conversation this present moment in time in mind, but I was just going to open it up to anybody who's got anything they'd like to share? Any questions, reflections, observations, anything they'd like to talk about? Neil?
Yeah, I've been struggling with well, I suppose you'd call it depression. I don't like using that word particularly, but for want of a better word, for a few years, and the last couple of days, um, and I suppose listening to Sid and listening to yourself, and the idea that just to be okay with those feelings and those thoughts. I've been thinking about that over the last couple of days, and I kind of really struggle with that because when I feel like that, the other thing is I'm a therapist, so there's a little bit of shame around me feeling depressed as well. Um,
I think
I
that's
don't know.
real. I like that.
Yeah,
You would be a therapist who I would definitely consider speaking to if I could speak to somebody who's humble enough and real enough to say that.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, yeah, I just wonder if you could. I wonder if you could speak to. When I feel like that, I'd do anything to not feel like that. And the thought of being okay with those feelings, I really struggle with, because I just think I would literally do anything to shift my mood.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Mm,
Me too.
mm.
Why, what is it about the principles? Why are you here? What is it about the principles, Neil? Why you, what is it that's got you interested?
I sometimes I don't know. It just keeps pulling me back for some reason. There's something in it that's very hopeful. Um, I get glimpses of something. Um,
Is there any way you could put words to any of that?
um, I think that the words that I'd use is that I know there's more than my thoughts. There's something deeper.
Beautiful.
Um, and I've kind of gone off and looked at other things, but I always get drawn back. There's something about the principles that's the simplicity I think I really like. And especially watching you guys, the it's so authentic. I find you guys really authentic, and I mean, even last week you say, I'm sorry about that. I just found that really just, you can be spiritual and still have a sense of humor. I love that.
You got to have a laugh at life.
Yeah,
I think that's it. It's got to have a laugh at life.
yeah,
We just take it so freaking seriously.
yeah,
We take our feelings seriously. And I'm totally and utterly with you, dude, when you say, like, when you're in it, you just want to get out of it. Fucking snap. Yeah. There's nobody on earth who, when I say I'm comfortable with uncomfortable, that doesn't mean feeling uncomfortable feels comfortable. What it means is I just have a different relationship now to my feelings. See, back in the day, I had no awareness when I like the fact you say you don't really want to call it depression. It's cool. Thing is about something that's depressed, it's held down, isn't it?
yeah,
It's held down, which implies in and of itself that it can pop back up again.
yeah,
Yeah. Even the language we use to describe it suggests it has a reversal. It has its opposite, pop back up. But I'm just want to quickly just speak to your shame thing. Like, why are we ashamed of feeling? What the fuck is that? And I think as a therapist and as somebody like myself, that's something I've had to get over. I've had to get over exactly what you're describing. That egoic thing of, oh, I'm better than this. I'm better than feelings. I'm bigger and frigging better. I know more. I know more than mind. I know more than the frequencies that create reality. I know more, and I've had to get really humble. And if I don't get humble, I get humbled.
yeah,
That's what I find in my life. So I've learned through being humbled time and time again to just, I don't know, let go of the arrogance of thinking I should be better than what I am. Do you know what I mean? And because to me, the principles aren't so much they're not really a conversation about how to manipulate reality, which I think a lot of people hear. They see it as a technique. To me, the principles aren't a technique. I don't know if you look at the three principles of mind, consciousness, and thought: universal mind, universal consciousness, universal thought. They're not technique things. Universal mind, pre-existing infinite intelligence. Well, that's inside of us. That is what we're made of. That is what we are. Universal consciousness. Manipulate your consciousness. Go for it. Have a go. Do you know what I mean? How do you manipulate consciousness? You can't manipulate consciousness. You are consciousness. It's the living force, the force of life. And then the power of thought, and that's something we're learning to utilize in a more coherent way. That's something we're starting to observe and gain a respect for. Something that to me in my life was totally invisible. That how I, the thinking patterns that I get into are what create the way I see the world. And but it was not. I didn't personally. It wasn't about gaining any kind of firm hold or manipulating any of that stuff. It was the three principles to me are a gift of a conversation and a conversation to start to recognize the nature of what we are. I love the fact you said, when I asked you what is it you kind of those glimpses you've been getting, you said a depth. Are you too? You said a depth. I love that. Just as you were saying it, because it would suggest something that otherwise what you've been in the shallows.
Mm.
Okay. Now, in the shallows on the sea is where all the turbulence takes place. You dive down 10 meters, it's still in the depth. It's a stillness in the depth. And in the shallows, it's only in the shallows do you get the waves. You don't get waves underwater. You only get waves on the surface in the shallows. Oh, I like to describe, personally, I like the metaphor of the ocean to describe reality. It's always been used through many traditions to describe how physical objects and physical reality is born. There is one universal energy, and from it, everything is like a wave. No wave is separate from another. I'm a wave, you're a wave. Trees are a wave, the mountains, the lakes, the stars, the suns, they're all waves of this ocean. They're not separate from one another, like one wave isn't separate from another. It's an expression of the same force, same energy, same water in this metaphor. But I like to use it in a psychological sense as well. And I liken mind to the ocean. So it doesn't matter what you think, it's all made of the same thing. If I think I'm going to use the same example as I generally use because it's usually the hard hitting one. And I've literally just been to the second funeral this year of a friend who's committed suicide. Suicide thought. Suicide thought. And what's weather doing? What time is it? Cup of tea, cup of coffee. What's on telly? Should I have clicked on this tonight? Oh shit, I've still got a lot to do and I'm sat here. Wonder if Jen's coming. Wonder if Lucia's awake or asleep. Wonder what Dan's doing. He's turned his screen off. Like, it doesn't matter what you're thinking, it's all the same. It's all the same thing in action, like an ocean waving. And when people start to get so personally, when I got a sense of that the whole of reality, because the only thing I can ever experience is my reality, my waves experience of reality. Okay? And as I another way you could describe the ocean is energy. So another way we could describe mind is energy. Now, energy is a scientific term we use to describe spirit. They're really the same thing. Or to me, all science is a conversation or a study about to discover how God creates and what we can do with it. We discover, human beings discover. We're discoverers because everything that we invent is a discovery from within ourselves. It all exists within our infinite being. So that includes depression, joy, um, acceptance, lack of acceptance, in excitement, optimism, hope, as you so beautifully said just before. It incorporates the depth and the shallows. They are all potentials within ourself. And I feel like the more we can gain appreciation for this point, that the only thing we're ever experiencing is an aspect of our infinite self. The only thing we're ever experiencing is ourself. Everything is an expression. Everything we encounter is an experience from within. It's like there's something there's a potential there that lies in that point where an individual can see that they can wake up and realize, oh, the only thing I'm ever experiencing is from within myself. It's a creation of my spiritual essence, my energetic being. Everything is coming from the energy that I am. The only thing I'm ever experiencing is that I create. And at that point, I got cocky. I was like, oh, fucking hell, I've nailed this shit. I've got one over life. I've got one over life here. I've just discovered the secret to life and I've got one over on it. That's never going to happen to me again. I got humbled. No, you gain insight. You gain insight into this, and you go back to being a human. You get to feel what it feels like for a wee while. I don't know, some people months, some people a couple of years, but sooner or later, some people a couple of hours, some people a couple of minutes, some people a fleeting glimpse. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I often say people often want these big spiritual experiences, which are ace, that's fine. But going back into the humanness is quite difficult. In my experience, it was quite difficult going back because I lost a lot of friends. They didn't want to talk to me because Ellery's gone fucking spiritual. And because I didn't know how to speak about any of it. And my family kind of thought I was mental and fought me. And, it was very difficult. But I often feel like the drip, drip, drip is often kinder. It allows you to integrate and the people around you to integrate with you. Um, Neither's right, neither's wrong. Both are perfect. Yeah, it's more to me, this is more a conversation about discovering who and what we really are as a human being. I don't know, there's something, the anima, as they call it in Greek or Celtic language, the anima that animates, the anima. There's an anima within each body that is alive. And the anima is what they call the soul. So the word animate that we use every day comes from the word soul in Greek. That animates and creates. And so there's a really, I don't know, I feel like there's a really freeing thing that can take place as we start to discover that one, we're not ill when we start to feel ill, when we start to feel, sorry, when we start to feel low. It's not an illness. Why is that feeling state an illness? Why would it be an illness?
I think that's one of the biggest things for me, Dave, is that when I feel depressed, I think this there's something wrong with me. There's other. I know this might sound when I hear myself say it, other people don't. Most other people don't feel like this, or
Ah, yeah, that one. That one.
yeah,
Hands up on screen. Who here doesn't ever feel depressed? Yeah, I don't see a single hand. Yeah.
Dave, I don't want to interrupt. However, I feel like this is extremely relevant.
You're gonna get the pilot just then, Dan. It's the accent as well. Yes, there you go.
Yeah, this is extremely relevant. This is the reason why I had my awakening, because of the waves and the ego.
Yeah, you did.
This
That's
is
the
it.
actual one I put out on the video, isn't it?
Yeah, cost me 20 quid that.
That's my second seascape I've sold. No, that was my first. Was that my first? First or second seascape? That was the first seascape I ever sold. I'm impressed with that. Thanks, Dan. Yeah. But it is interesting, though. It's so tempting for us to think that we're somehow different to everybody else. I always remember being with Joe Bailey. Have you ever heard of a man called Joe Bailey? He's written a few books. I was with Joe Bailey, and somebody said similar kind of thing that, but I feel like I kind of feel a bit deeper than everybody else. And he went, oh, it's a big ego that thinks that. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Somehow I'm that bit more special. I'm that little bit more fucked up. I'm that little bit more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've had people say it to me, you and I feel deeper than everybody else. I'm like, how do you know? How do you know? I think I feel deeply, yeah, because when I feel deeply, I feel deeply. But I know everybody else feels deeply. I've got a friend who can't stand his ex-wife because she's too emotional, but I watch him get irate every other frigging moment. I'm like, you're emotional, mate. You're really emotional. You just experience a different kind of emotion. Your tendency is more towards, rather than getting all emotional like crying, your tendency is more emotional to get angry. But it's still really emotional. You're still a very emotional human being. And yeah, I hope in this conversation we can dispel that myth that, I feel deeper than anybody else.
Or I'm more fucked up than anyone else.
Yeah, man, totally. Totally. The thing is about the mind, right? It doesn't exist. Correct me if I'm wrong, science. The mind doesn't exist in in terms of the physicality. We look to the physicality to try and find mind because that's all we can study. We can only study physicality. So it would make sense that over the years, over the latter few decades especially, we've really gone very materialistic science and completely excluded the ethereal that creates. We've ignored that. We've ignored spirit. And, so we've gone very, very much physical, and we've studied the brain and we've looked at the chemicals. I was diagnosed with chemicals and chemical imbalances of the brain and stuff like that. You're nodding because you had that.
Well, yeah, I take antidepressants and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, I've got a problem with that theory. I can create all those chemicals in my sleep. Yeah, I can create my adrenaline that I struggled with and the cortisol. Yeah, I can create that in my sleep through having a nightmare. Okay, so I can wake up from a nightmare, heart's pounding, my heart palms are sweaty, I'm breathing heavy, I've probably made a few noises, probably try to move. I've got a friend who has, he fights in his sleep and does all kinds of mental things. It's horrible sharing a room with him. His body doesn't know he's asleep. So his body is responding to his dream state. His body's responding to mind. Okay, when he stops dreaming that terrifying dream, he doesn't fight. He only fights when he's dreaming the terrifying dream. Like I only release the adrenaline and cortisol in my sleep, my dreams, like everybody else, when there's something scary going on. Okay, but the body doesn't know the difference between the awake state and the sleep state. So it responds in the same way to the sleep state as it does to the awake state. You can produce all the same chemicals in your awake state as you can in your sleep state. So looking to the chemicals is it's like looking at the hole in a sunken boat. You keep getting all your boats sunk, and you keep on blaming the hole. You keep on blaming the holes. I think this might be a really shit analogy, but you don't look at the rock which the boats keep crashing into. Do you know what I mean? You're always looking at the after effects. Yeah, it's like studying the dripping coming, like the pool of water in your downstairs sitting room, and being mesmerized by it and being fascinated by it, being really upset by it, but not thinking to go upstairs and see if you've left the bath running. Yeah, it's like looking at the consequences, the after effects. We're mesmerized by the after effects. But what is it that's telling our beautiful bodies, our beautiful, perfectly fucking attuned, nature derived, divine, intelligently created bodies, what is it that's telling our bodies to release these chemicals? Because not one single doctor said, look, Dave, you've got full of adrenaline and cortisol, you've got chemical imbalances, you need to be medicated for this stuff. Put me on all these medications. We can correct it. You'll have to continue to take them, but we can correct your brain, your malfunctioning. Not one doctor asked me, what are you thinking a lot about, Dave? Where's your mind going more often than not to? And because if they'd said that, I'd have said doom scenarios, violent thought. I really want to fuck a few people up, and I think about that a lot, and I think about the terrible things I've done to people and the terrible things I've said and all this stuff. Now, if I'm thinking that stuff, what's my body doing? It's listening. So it's releasing the appropriate chemical to what I'm thinking and how I'm perceiving it. So my body's working beautifully. See, the anima animates the body. The chemicals are a product of the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, a dead body doesn't release chemicals. It doesn't release adrenaline. It doesn't release cortisol. It doesn't release endorphins. It can't because it's missing the energy part that tells it what to do, what tells a neuron to fire, what tells the synaptic bridges to be built. What's the energy? Because everything requires energy in order to move it. What's the energy? That's the bit I'm interested in. What's creating it all? And you come back to thought, the way we think, what we believe to be true. And I feel like when you start to waken up to the power of thought, it gives you the opportunity to question your own experience, to question your own mind, to question the way you've always thought about everything. Because the moment you see something differently, like I saw different in my father one day, pain in the ass, fucking does my head in, we're never going to get on. And one day I saw him differently. Just for a moment, I saw him differently. He hurts. My dad hurts. He's in pain. He's really upset what I've done. Bless him. Wow. Changed. I had a new thought, and then my father appears different, and we've had a totally different relationship ever since, thank God, 10 years ago. The power of thought is creating everything. It's creating everything. It's creating everything we're experiencing about this conversation. But within thought is opportunities. I would describe them as the opportunities. No, they're not opportunities you get to consciously pick out. They're opportunities you get to almost attune to for them to fall into your awareness. And these opportunities show up when they show up. Okay, they show up when they show up. You can't choose them because you don't know what you're choosing anyway. Call them insight. You can't manufacture insight. That's why when Sid said there's nothing to do, it's one of the best things. Don't try and do anything. Just live. Just live. And what happens is, as we live, we learn. And we learn via insight. Suddenly something comes in and you're like, whoa, I haven't thought about that before. Oh, that's different. Oh, hey, John. That's different. Yeah, so within the power of thought lies infinite possibilities. Infinite possibilities, including one of the possibilities that mankind's very much attached to is that we're limited. That is a possibility that we could experience. We could experience the possibility that we're limited. Because that is part of infinity. That's an option that's a potential within infinite potential. The potential that you're limited. Not true. It's just a belief. It's just something that we think is true. Now, if it was true, how could we possibly have made the advances that we've made technologically in the last frigging 20 years? More and more we're starting to see, oh no, we're not limited. We can improve on everything. We can bring in AI. What the fuck we're going to do with AI? We can do all kinds of mad stuff with AI. All right, we've just opened up another door. Let's walk through there. Let's see where we end up. Yeah, everything is potentials, but every single thing comes from within all of us. Everything we're experiencing is coming from within ourselves. And there's something magical about that point, because you suddenly go from being a victim to being this depth. You suddenly go from being a shallow being, and I don't mean that in a judgmental way. I mean living in the shallows, mesmerized by the waves, living in the choppiness. Oh, calm day, beautiful. Whoa, fucking storms come through. Do you know what I mean? It's like you start to recognize the depth in all of it. After all, the surface of the ocean cannot exist without the depth below it. It requires the depth. The depth is the essential part. The depth is what underpins all of it. The surface is just the illusory, temporary wave pattern that we would call the ocean's character in that moment. Oh, it's stormy, or it's choppy, or it's whatever. It's depressed, it's anxious. But the thing is about an ocean, the wave patterns are always changing, just like us, because nothing is static. Nothing is static. And I feel like the more we can kind of accept and appreciate the fact that we're not static, we're changing, constantly, constantly changing, the less we hold on to the identity of I'm depressed. Because you realize, well, why would I hold on to that wave? Why is that wave more real than any other wave? You see, you start to gain a respect for that point. Why is that wave more real than that wave? Because I've experienced it more? Does that make it more real? But like I'd say to a man who came to work with us one day, I pointed out the window and he said that. And I said, "Do you see the big oak tree?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you see the little sapling here?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Which one's been around the longest?" He said, "The oak tree." "Yeah." "Which one's more real?" Just because something's been around, we've experienced something for longer, doesn't mean it's more true. It just appears like that. It just appears like it. And then we have the opportunity to see into that, to whatever depth we wish. And I don't mean that on a wish on an intellectual level. I mean a wish on a soul level. You never get broken in this game. Nobody gets destroyed. We have the potential within our being to create the experience that we are being destroyed, and yet you're not. We've all been through, everybody on this screen's been through dark days. Days that like they never thought they could experience and get through, yet here we all are. Never destroyed us. And then I feel like the more this is an opportunity, not so much to certainly I don't feel like it's to control reality. I feel like it's more of an opportunity to experience the fullness of being. Where in the past perhaps before this conversation, I started getting interested in this conversation, perhaps in the past we've kind of numbed out certain feelings. Maybe that's through just absolute denial. Maybe that's through alcohol, drugs, distraction, or anything like that. This is an opportunity to fully live and feel and to learn, to grow, to actually allow ourselves to feel. I often liken it to a rainbow. There's no wrong color in a rainbow. Well, that's like the spectrum of experience, spectrum of feelings that a human being gets to feel. It's just as natural as the rainbow. Human beings didn't create all these feelings. We are endowed with the feelings of nature. I was saying this a couple of weeks ago. I was splitting wood with my mum and all the spiders were running off. But some of the spiders weren't running. They were curling up into little balls. And the moment we saw them, we took the logs, we recognized what was happening, we put them in a separate pile. Because if you look closely at what was going on, those spiders had babies. and they protected their babies. They didn't leave their babies. The spiders without babies ran off, but the spiders with babies stayed on top of their babies. Okay. Now, there's mothers on this screen. Why would you do that? So that next one, why would you do that? Because you love them. Now you can say, oh, well, animals are instinctive. Well, it's instinctive within a mother to love. You know, these emotions that we talk about aren't just located in human beings, they're located in all things. Because the vibrations of consciousness, the vibrations of mind, and we've noticed it in trees apparently now. They think, they feel, they send messages to one another. They warn each other of predation. Why would you do that? If you won, you weren't what's the word? You weren't cautious of being eaten, predated upon. And likewise, why would you share that information if you didn't care about your neighbors? So now we've gone from animal to plant kingdom. You know, and we're still looking at the potential of these beings feeling threatened, and also feeling love. So this is a much bigger conversation than just human psychology. This is an invitation to go into the nature of reality itself. First Hermetic principle is mind. That was the first Hermetic principle. The universe is mind. Mental. Well, everybody experiences a unique universe. We're all an idea. Everything is an idea of whatever source is. Look at the precision that exists in nature, the precision within the bodies. And the precision that as we think, as we believe, so it is created as an experience. Precision, absolute precision, no mistakes. Nobody was forsaken. Just unique experiences. You know, but because we've lived in this idea that reality is something that subjects itself upon us, we've lived in a terrifying fucking state. You know, especially when you bring the illusions of time in as well. So you've got outside your physical body that's creating all your experience. And then you've got time creating your experience. You're bringing in all the illusions, and we've lived in this illusion. And this illusion has created a great deal of fear. Well, it would naturally, because it's completely out of alignment with truth. The truth being that we are creating it 100% of the time. We're creating our personal reality 100% of the time. It's coming from us. Not coming from outside. It's not coming from time. It's not coming from the future. It's not coming from the past. It's coming from the now. Where we're vibrating at, what frequency our being is, what level of consciousness is another way to describe that. And another way to describe that is what level of understanding are we living at. How mesmerized by the shallows has the ocean become? How mesmerized by the waves, and how much is the ocean identifying itself merely as little waves, ideas? Oh, and then you get those glimpses into the depth, and it starts to shake things up a little bit. You're like, oh, fucking hell, there's something there. And you're looking for it with your waves. You start going through your waves, start doing this. Where's that fucking depth I was just feeling? You start looking for it in here, and it goes, but it hasn't gone anywhere. And that's the beauty. It can't. Never left you. You are the depth, pretending to be the shallows. You are the infinite depth, pretending to be a wave pattern. Just a wave pattern. Just a lonely old wave pattern that somehow seems to exist independently of the body of water. Impossible. Absolutely 100% impossible. It's only because of your true spiritual source nature of who and what you really are that you get to create any form of reality at all. Is that not? Isn't the fact we get to create reality experience a miracle? Isn't depression therefore a fucking outstanding, inexplicable miracle? Anxiety, joy, love, any of it, all of it. Mankind didn't invent it. We're just starting to wake up to who and what we are. And with that, we'll start to learn what else we're capable of. We'll realize we're not pathetic little beings. We never were. We're an ocean of infinite potential.
Thank you for speaking to that. Thanks.
I was going to say, Jen, Neil's been a really brave fella. And like I said, mate, if I ever wanted to see a therapist, I want to see a real person. Thing is, you're like me. You just want to feel comfortable in your own skin. It's just like every client that comes to you. If you can help them feel real, like if you can help them by getting humble and going, I feel like that. We had a girl come to us one time. She was 15 years old. She had really dark thoughts. I went, all right. Promise me you won't tell anyone. Here you go. You can have some of my thoughts. She came away thinking I was fucking insane and she was right.
I might try that one.
Yeah. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it recorded. But yeah, no, I mean, this girl had been in therapy since she was 7. She was 15. She's awesome. She's an awesome lass. She's one of our dear friends. And day 2, she came back, didn't she? She was doing intensive. And she said, I don't even know why the hell I'm here. I said, well, go on. She went, well, you're not exactly good role models, are you? What, Dave, you've been in prison. Jen, you're just an ex-anorexic. I'm like, cool. Day 2, it's what we expect. You're going to get rowdy. Sit down. Thanks very much. Thanks for being honest. And then we had that conversation, and at lunchtime, she burst into tears. I said, right, come on, lunchtime. Took her out into the garden and said, what's going on? And she said, I've been in therapy since I was 7 years old. She said, she said, I'm crying for 2 reasons, I think. She said, firstly, I'm crying because I'm so pissed off about how much time I've spent on my life studying everything I thought was wrong with me. She said, and secondly, I'm crying because I've just realized I'm all right. We're all right. Even in our moments of our times when we don't feel all right, we're all right. You doesn't break you. You're all right. You just feel like shit. Do you know what I mean? And if you can see that, your relationship starts to change with it. Oh, this is temporary. Oh, everybody feels like this at some point, but we feel about different things. So another thing this lady said to me, and a different lady said to me, now I think about it, she said, my husband isn't very emotional. I said, oh, really? Yeah, talk to me about that. She says, well, I care really deeply about whatever it was, some far off country that's doing something. I said, oh, well, does he not care about that? She went, no. I said, what does he care about? She went, oh, this, that, or the other. I said, yeah, so do you not think he feels as emotional as you do about that stuff, but you don't recognize that as valid, and he's not really that interested in what you're interested in, but you're missing each other, you're missing the point. You both feel. You just feel differently about different things. And we're allowed to. We're allowed to love whatever we want in this life. We're allowed to be concerned about whatever we wish in this life. We're allowed to take it all seriously. We're allowed to lighten the hell up as well. You know, there's no wrong. You can't get it wrong. Can't get it wrong. Cannot get life wrong. It's a spiritual reality. It's a spiritual reality, and the spirit is pure love. The beingness, that's why everybody seeks it. They're looking for themselves. They're looking for the depth, because when you find that depth and you sense that depth, there's this feeling of magical depth, love. Everything I need is there. Everything I need is there. Everything I need is there. It's what you are. It's what you're made of. Everything else is a distraction. Everything else is just the devil's in the details, as they say. It's the details.
Mm.
The domain of hell. It's where suffering's created in the mind when we get mesmerized by the details of our realities, tangled up in it, searching through the waves. Yeah, Neil's just been, really humble. I really, 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 really respect that, because I think that makes a really awesome human being to help another human being. Powerful. He's been really humble and said sometimes he really struggles with depression. And then he was a little bit concerned that he thought he might be the only person who does. You got to say?
Lots of things been running through my head actually, but you talked for quite a long time, so some of them have gone.
Oh.
But
You need a piece of paper like me.
I know. I saw an otter today, so I'm very excited by that. And that's what was probably I've been so excited. It was so close, and it ran through the woods like I thought it was a sausage dog. And then, but it was the reason it popped into my head is because you were saying these aren't human emotions.
Oh yeah.
And these massive jets were going over, so the kids were all just stood like this because it's so loud, and we're at Ray Castle over water, so it like amplified it. And you could see that this otter was just terrified and was just erratic, and then it sat in the water until they went looking at us and then went. But that's why that one popped into my head.
Sorry for laughing.
That's all right. What's funny about that?
It's like you were bragging.
Well, I was quite
I
excited.
was showing a little bit.
It was exciting to see.
Got something exciting to tell you while I saw an otter.
And then the other thing that popped into my head is last week we went to a funeral. I don't know if you mentioned it, a funeral of somebody that you knew as a kid and you've sort of bumped into. And I didn't think I'd met this person, but then when I saw the flyer, I realised actually I had seen them a lot at the park. Always said hello, but never chatted. And it was the busiest I've ever seen. It was a crematorium, and the place was packed as people stood, and then there's a hallway and there were people stood there, and then people were outside, and then all the way down the path because they were only 40 years old. And as I was listening to people talking about this person's life and seeing the devastation in people, it was almost unbelievable that somebody, I was like, I wonder what hell he was going through in his own mind that seemed like the best option. And like how loved they were, and you can see that it isn't anything external because you could see and feel in this place. Like I felt quite privileged to be part of it, not knowing this person, but just the love and the connection and people coming together in that loss and in that love. But he couldn't feel it, and or maybe did at times, but it just it kind of, that was quite humbling to be there and see that from the outside someone can look like they've got everything, but that internal thing. And I said the whole time I was there, I was just thinking, Dave, do something for men. Like it seems we've had two friends
last two times we've been to that crematorium has been young men
taking their own life, and then we've just recently heard that the day before that funeral there's another lady that had taken her own life. But there's so many people that do suffer and struggle quietly. And then the other thing that popped into my mind is I know that if we'd been at a park with you, you generally are chatting you've got the whole park kind of communicating and chatting. You really bring people together, whereas I'm not as outgoing in that way. And I thought actually the next time at the park, I think I will put myself out of my comfort zones a bit more and just chat to people. Like, how are you doing? Who are you? And people normally find like, what do you do? And then I don't know, it just made me really think, God, how many times have I said hello to that person and never gone further?
Yeah, because you knew him from the park, didn't you?
Well, I didn't know that. I knew that I bumped into with you because I recognised the name, but it wasn't until I saw the picture on the front of the order of service I thought, wow, I do know who you are. I've bumped into you loads of times. But it's that reminder of what communication and being there for other people, like, and just not knowing what someone's going through. I never would have guessed there was anything going on for him.
Neither did the people closest to him, did they?
No, and I think that's the thing. The other thing is like we just don't know, and
No.
that, you know, it's always a good idea to be kind, but you can see again, like, you just don't know what people are going through. And I think when I first came across the principles and I realised everyone lives in their own reality, everyone lives in their own world, the world stopped feeling personal. And so if someone was rude to me, if someone cut me up, like there was nothing for me, there was no anger or nothing that would come up, because I just saw innocence and I saw, wow, you just don't know what someone else is going through. How easy it is to forget that and to make things personal again. But I think that funeral really made me just feel, yeah, like you just don't know, and be kind.
We'd My sister had a customer today phone her up, and he was so rude to her. She didn't know him. He's never been in the shop before. And she said, "Oh, sorry, we're only open by appointment." And he went, "That's no effing good to me. I'm stood outside." So she was like, "Okay," went downstairs, opened up the door. "I need a chair." Lisa said, "I was just about to tell him to get out." And Mum just glared at me. Mum just glared at her. So she said, "I went and got the chair, came back down." And he said something about Lisa not being very happy or grumpy or something. Anybody who knows my sister, she's insanely awesome. She's just buoyant, isn't she? She's cool. This bloke rubbed my sister up the complete wrong way. She was livid. But bless me, Mum, she just cut right through it, and she saw right through it, and she just saw this innocent man. Like this man who was clearly not in a good place to be speaking to people like that. And yeah, it was such a beautiful example of separate realities right there. It was so funny. I went and eavesdropped. It was ace. No, this is it, you know. I was speaking to one of my best mates who was really good friends with my friend who's just taking his life. And they were all planning on going away together. And I don't know, the thing that really hit me throughout it, and I said it to my mate, I said, "Oh, I'm going to say something." I said, "You might not like it, but I'm going to say it anyway." I said, "What this man's giving you is an opportunity. He's given us all an opportunity." I said, "What I see is all the friends coming together, sharing all the funny times." And there were some funny times. There were some stories about this lad that you've all come together. You've all come together in grief, but you've also all come together in love. I said this to my mate. There's a proper bloke, like, it's a proper lad. I said, what he's given everybody the opportunity to see is what's important in life. That's what this man's tragedy has offered the rest of us. That man's tragedy has given the rest of us the opportunity to look deeper into life and see what's important. And I said to him, "How much do you love your friends more now?" And he went, more, far more. He said, you hug your kids that bit more, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, you do." I said, "Isn't that a gift?" He's allowed us all to feel more love. He's allowed us all to reassess what's important in life, how we want to choose to live. That's what this man's offered us. Anyway, you're right. And I feel like that's what we have an opportunity to find in suffering. You know, when we do enter into these, I approach suffering very differently now, and it's taken time and it's taken learning, but it's through observation, through looking at my own past and going, oh yeah, when I felt like shit at that point, something changed and I became a different human being afterwards. I was a different man after all that, because we're constantly changing. You know, and every single time we go through a dark patch, that dark patch is within us. It's not who we are, it's a wave. No, the ocean isn't a wave. The wave is an aspect of it's the ocean. The ocean is an aspect of the wave. It's inseparable, but the wave is only is a consequence of the ocean. It's only because the ocean exists does the wave exist. So it's like, I find now when I find myself in these inevitable, being a human being, dark patches and coming up against my own ego, coming up against my own beliefs, coming up against my own perceived limitations of what I think is possible, what I think is right, and what I think is just, and what I think, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's what I suffer. That's the only thing I suffer. But when I go into that suffering, I'm always quite curious now, what am I going to learn on the other side of this? What aspect of myself am I going to become aware of that is otherwise just quietly fucking tugging away at the strings in the background and just maneuvering my life? You know, and we call that the subconscious. The subconscious is thought that we're not consciously aware of, or some people call it programming. Subconscious thought on a different dimension to intellect, different dimensional thought. Thought nonetheless, waves nonetheless, no more real. You know, and every time you come up against a dark time and
I don't know if it has to be dark time. It's almost, I feel like you become a learner in all of life.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Talk about that.
Well, no, I was just thinking, we hung out with some friends recently who we don't get to hang out with much, and like they bicker a lot.
Who's this?
I'm not saying, and they get in moods.
Letter.
No, they get in moods with each other and
Up north, down south.
storm off. It's very recent.
Okay.
Very recent. And I just found so much gratitude for, like, we can sometimes get bitch with each other or snap at each other, but it's like it's momentary, and like you're in the next moment, and then we'll laugh or apologize, or I don't know. I felt the principles seems to give you. Stop trying to.
Sorry.
Such a heckler.
Sorry.
It gives you, the principles gives you the opportunity to be a learner, to learn from each moment, from situations, from hard times, from incredible times, and I think that's something I respect a lot. But I know that I've learned huge amounts from some of my most amazing moments. But I think, because otherwise I think it can sound like you need to go through really hard times or suffering or something terrible. Like I used to think, well, no, maybe something terrible in my life's going to have to happen so that I can have a big growth. And like that would then preoccupy my mind. And then I'm like, actually, there's just learning in all of it.
It's very true. Yep.
I think you were talking about the two trees, like one of them being really old and one of them being really young, and which one's more real. And I think so it will, if something's been around longer, it will feel more real. And I think the principles is an opportunity to see it all as the same. It doesn't matter if you've had that thought once or a million times. It's a thought, it's a potential, it's made of the same ocean. And I think the more that you see that, it doesn't necessarily mean you get less of the same thought patterns, but you're less wedded or bought into them. I think I can have some of the same old thinking, but I don't experience it in the same way. And there is still times when I just wish I didn't have to have that thinking. It's just so annoying. And I know it doesn't serve me. And I know it will cause an issue with us, or it will cause an issue. And then it blows my mind that I still sometimes go down that train of thought. But again, then there's learning in it. And there's a humility in it. And if you work with people, it's incredible to have that experience, because then you don't then start looking at people you're working with thinking, oh my God, how would you get so caught up with that? Or because you see, well, the nature of the mind is that it creates these illusions that look real. And then we go to battle with them. But there's something so grounding, or kind of, there's something about this that you never forget once you've seen it. Even if it's a tiny glimpse, you never forget. And then it keeps teaching you and growing you.
Yeah, once you've seen, that's it, isn't it? It's
I
like
think
once you
you
get a
can't
glimpse.
you can't blame anything,
No.
because even when we're sometimes in conversations and I'm saying things and I'm not even believing what I'm saying as I'm saying it, like if I want to blame something outside of me for my experience, I
Like
don't
when
even
you don't
believe
put
it.
jars lids on.
Huh?
Like when you don't put lids on jars.
Yeah, you
Just-
still think that that has the ability to create a feeling for you.
Yeah.
Dave lives like a teenager, so he's
Well, I
No.
screw lids on jars.
no, you're very messy, and sometimes it looks like that mess.
Times I have.
You're always messy. It's just whether how long it takes you to clear it up.
Okay.
But sometimes that looks like it has the power to make me feel really pissed off, and other times I'm like, that's one of the things I fell in love with. I didn't have to be tidy.
Well as well do.
So yeah, I think if we can stop thinking our mind has to look a certain way, it has to be ordered and it has to eradicate certain things, and you see it as comings and goings of the same force, it doesn't have the same power as it used to. Whereas if
In terms of
I am a depressed person, and then you start having depressed thoughts, then it will feel more real than, wow, I've got all that depressive thinking coming to mind again. It feels different if you're an observer of something popping up, or whether you are that thing. And like I think I said it last week, that I'm trying to talk to Lucia a bit about characters, because she'll get scared in a book and want to know if that person is real in the book. So I say, well, it's a character that's come to someone's mind. It's an invention of someone's mind. So it's a thought, but that person doesn't actually physically exist. And then she's like settles down. And then I've said we're going to go and see The Lion King. I think I did say this last week, and our friend's going to take us backstage. And it's probably going to do it beforehand so she can see it's people dressed up. And I think once you sort of know that, it's not going to be as scary as if you think it's real. And I think that's the power in the principles, is you suddenly see everything that we think is a creation is not real. And I think that in itself is freeing.
some of the words that woke me up when Sid said, it's not real. You think it's real. It's not real. You just think it's real. You think the way that we create the reality I perceive, I thought was the truth. Which on one hand it is, because it's my reality. But on a universal level, it's also a complete and utter illusion. Because there's 8 billion apparently versions of totally different realities to my own. If there wasn't, Jen and I wouldn't fall out. You know, Jen would learn just to,
When was the last
that
jar you
movement.
picked up that had that happen? Not this week.
It's honey.
Wasn't this week?
It was probably
Our
the
honey's
week
down
before.
south, so it's got to be 2 weeks ago.
No, whenever. It's not,
The problem is,
it's not a domestic.
the problem is it ends up being
on
like a
tel-
fun
on
little
computer.
thing to do.
That's hilarious.
Well, I never seem to have a problem, so I'm all right.
No.
The thing is, it's very real for you, because I think you've mentioned that on quite a few
Yeah,
community
it
groups.
really pisses me off. Jam jar lids, honestly. Not even just jam jars. Anyway. No, but I like that point.
I think otherwise it does feel like I have to go into suffering to learn. It's like, well, learning is just all around us in
Yeah.
any moment, if you've got eyes for it.
That's right. It comes, we learn via insight. So we are, aren't we? Who's cuter though? Right, so Neil, you've seen your life isn't as bad as ours, and yeah, you're healed. Well done, mate. We're all fucking mental, mate. That's what you've got to understand. Everybody's insane. We're all insane. Reality's insane.
So I remember saying to you once, you were sat in bed like that. I think I've said this loads of times. You're like, what are you thinking about? I'd only moved up, maybe we'd only been together like under a year. You went like right now. I was like, yeah. Like, what have you been thinking about? And you're like, I was actually thinking about where you'd bury someone. And then I had been thinking about shooting people with bows and arrows. And I was like, oh right,
Yeah,
lovely.
that's something I've thought about an awful lot.
And that seems insane. But then I remember thinking, yeah, but how many times have I sat thinking about someone I love dying and how I'd feel, and oh my God, how awful a funeral would be, or like just
Why? Because I
get
killed them.
maybe get lost in that kind of future thinking, and that seems totally normal, whereas yours just seems totally insane. But we've been watching Brassic and
Brassy.
Brassic, whatever it's called. Brassic.
It's northern term.
Okay.
The skin.
Is it?
Hmm.
I don't even
Means
know.
have no money.
Oh. And I've been having more violent dreams, which are really weird because I've never really had dreams. I'm like, God, this is what you've lived with. This is horrible. Like waking up with my heart pounding.
Exactly, you see. So when you have that violent dream, your heart pounds. Why is your heart pounding? Adrenaline. So it was the thought that set off the heart. It's this thought that tells the body to release the chemicals. There you go. Thank you very much.
You were
Yeah.
talking about that earlier.
Yes. That's it.
But you haven't been having more violent dreams since watching
No, I haven't.
Brassic.
No.
So it can't be that.
My violent thoughts have really been quietening down. Really nice, quite nice, really. That's it. It's not me getting life right because they're quietening down. I'm grateful that they're quietening down. You don't get to choose your thoughts. You know, you don't get to choose which thought comes in next. Not on a conscious level. Which, on one hand, you can be terrified of that, but on the other hand, you can look at it from the point of view, well, if that's true, then I have a potential to learn something new in any given moment, speaking to what you're talking about. In any given moment, you have the opportunity to learn something new. We learn via thought. It's the only way you can learn anything is via thought. So if I controlled all my thoughts all the time, at what point would I ever allow in new thought? I'd be too busy controlling it all.
You wouldn't know what the new thought was, so you wouldn't
You
be able
wouldn't
to
know
allow it in.
exactly. You see, and we learn through realization, you know, or epiphany or insight or whatever the hell you want to call it. You know, and what is that? It's a new potential that's born within our consciousness that we've not recognized before. And suddenly it becomes apparent and you're like, whoa, do you know what I've just realized? Blah, blah, blah. You know, even the word realize is to make real, draw out of ourselves and make it into your reality. Thought creates reality. Dream of life, as the mystics called it. Same thing. Everybody's all right. We're all right. I was given a beautiful piece of information at 4 o'clock in the morning one time when I asked for help. Please, can I have some help with this particular troubling thing that was going on in my life? 2003? 2 years ago?
You said 2003.
Is that what it was? 2023. 2023.
But I don't know what you're talking about. Was Lucy here?
Family, yeah. About 2 years ago. And I asked for help with it. And about 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, head full. I never get a head full anymore, but I had a head full and I was just given this piece of information. And it just said, the further you go into suffering, the further into unreality you've entered. Do you know what I'm talking about now? Yeah, the further you go into suffering, the further into unreality you have entered. I remember not fully understanding what it meant at the time. And in fact, thinking I'd missed half of the point. It was only in the next few days I started to kind of ponder it and realize, no, that's true.
Also, the fascinating thing about that was, you're like, I fucking hate hedge trimming. It's just a fucking shit job. And then just recently you've been helping out a friend and you're like, I've been loving it. I'm really good at it. And I've just been enjoying like getting up in the routine. And I'm like, really? Like, you just hated it.
Psycho, aren't I?
You are. I think you only hate it when you do it for mum.
Yeah, I hate doing that for your mum, bloody hell.
But you can see it's like the same thing, and depending on where you are in consciousness,
Yeah.
is like how you experience it.
Totally.
And I think it's helpful to know that because you know
Clearly
you're
isn't
not,
the hedge
yeah, you're
or the
limited.
chainsaw
You're not
or the hedge
limited.
trimmer.
Like if you know you're not limited to
It's
this
your-
experience of it, actually there's always a different way to see anything that actually you could have a complete in like you have been recently, actually really enjoying helping a friend out and going out off with the lads again and having like lads crack and doing all what but before he's like I'm never doing this again. Shifting consciousness and it all looks different. And that's anything. Like we got back from down south about a week and a bit ago and we hadn't unpacked and there was just stuff everywhere and every time I looked at it I just felt so overwhelmed and I can't and then yesterday I just did it all. No thinking, just and Lucia actually played ball, she just played all day. But you can see that the smallest thing, like just unpacking and tidying up, can look like the most like exhausting. I can't possibly do it. And then other times you just get on and do it. And that's everything in life. And like my friend who was up was almost like, oh, I don't want to think about like I can't go use a sauna and stuff. I just can't. I had having to like get changed and get cold and in the middle bit I'm like, wow, like in a lovely hotel and you could potentially go and use this really nice spa and even that's stressful. Like you see people's state of mind and how it colours everything.
Yeah. You know, when people get quiet, when people's minds just go quiet, you go for a walk, you're just out in the woods, sat by the water, you just chilling, listen to some music, driving, in the shower, playing golf, whatever, going for a swim, whatever you enjoy. Okay, whatever you enjoy. Your mind goes quiet. That's why you enjoy it. Your mind starts to get quiet and all your problems disappear. In that moment, there is no problems. Your problems only exist when you think them. Which means, which kind of points to what a problem actually is. There is no problem outside of ourselves. Problems are a perspective of the mind, or a thought. You know, we're running around trying to fix all our problems. We're running around mesmerized by our thoughts, by our waves. But our natural state of being is one of stillness. That's our natural state of being. It's peace. That's why when the mind goes quiet, you find peace. You know, if you, it's like that old analogy. You've got a bucket of water. How do you get the water to calm down? You know, do you shake it? Do you pat the waves back in, or do you just let it settle down? You know, because it just equalizes itself. It does. It naturally just balances itself out. You put it down, leave it the hell alone, and it finds its equilibrium. Well, that's just like everybody else. That's like everything. That's like people. You know, when we just leave ourselves alone, you naturally come back to an equilibrium. We always do. Well, people say, I've been depressed for 20 years. No, you haven't. Sorry, you haven't. Have you not laughed in 20 years? Well, yeah, I might, probably, yeah, I'd have thought so, yeah. Right, well, in that moment, you don't have depression.
Yeah, I've noticed that I can feel really crap, and I'll be watching TV and something would just crack me up,
Yeah.
and I think, what's going on? I feel crap, and I'm laughing, and
There you go. Because it's that was then. Do you know what I mean? Because you felt like crap, but in the now, when you're watching the television, you're laughing. That's how you feel now. You know, and we only live in the now. The now is all there is. But when you bring time in, when you bring that illusion in, the future, the past, oh, but I'm a depressive person because I feel this a lot. It does away with the truth, which is the now, and it starts to bring more attention to the illusion, which is the past, which it doesn't exist anymore. It's a thought. That's what the past is. It's a thought. In order to experience the past, you have to think it. And I think that's something you can gain a respect for right there, Neil. If you've got depression, this is what I've said exactly the same frigging thing, mate. I've said exactly what you've just said. I've got this depression, but, and then sometimes, sometimes I feel happy. I think I'm properly losing the plot when I feel happy. I feel because life isn't happiness, is it? It's not peaceful. Life's shit. So if I'm feeling happy, I must be really, that was my theory on life. I must be really malfunctioning. Then I got worried that I was getting happy. I was insane, utter insanity, but that's the way I lived. But just going back to that point, if you can notice that, yeah, sometimes if you've got depression's a description. It's not who you are. It's just it's a temporary description. And what is the feeling of depression without all the story of depression? Like, what's the feeling of depression? What is depression without all the heaviness, without all the story, without all the labeling, without all the ideas about depression? What are you actually left with if you strip all of that ideas away? If you strip away all the ideas away from the emotion, what are you left with? It's a feeling, it's an experience. Just like joy, just like optimism, just like anxiety. What are all those things when you strip away the ideas of them being good, bad, right, wrong, true, false? Strip away all those ideas. What are you left with? You're left with an experience. This experience doesn't destroy you. Dan.
There was something that you said that sort of like sparked something how I used to feel, and I looking back at it now, and this might be a really blasé way of saying it, but I actually think that at some point throughout my depressed slash anxious living, I think I was addicted to being anxious. Like I was addicted to that feeling of being worried was more comfortable to me than it was being happy and not being I was more it's strange because in that sense I was more anxious being happy than I was being anxious, if that's a thing. Like I was very sort of unsteady being happy and having them sort of like, oh, when's it going to start happening again? Like it was like my brain used to go, right, well, it won't be long till I go back to being anxious, so it's fine. And it's really strange to me that that happens, because when I look back at it now, I think that how it's like when you put some glasses on just for maybe while you're watching, to say if you need glasses for watch TV, for say, it's like I had to wear these glasses to be happy. But then once the program had finished, I'd take them off and I'd go back to being anxious again. And the depression about it as well was exactly the same. Like I can remember when I was at my height of like stress and anxiety, depression, whatever. Like I used to just think to myself, like, oh, will I be happy or will I not be happy? But then when it actually happened, I was like, oh shit, I don't like this. It was so like strange. And I feel like that when you when you get the hold of when you start to understand that both of them feelings, the anxiety and the happiness and the depression, all come from the same place, you sort of then don't give it that power of hold in a way. It's more of a appreciation for everything. every feeling, I think. That's the way that I used to look at it. Like even now if I get a bit anxious, sometimes I'll be like, oh, here we go. Literally by the time I've said, oh, here we go, it's gone. Because it doesn't have that kind of like that hold, that addictive personality over me. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I can go for hours and think, oh shit, I feel like crap here. Like I can like my mind's going over time, like my heart's pounding, like I'm all sweaty, I'm really snappy. But then at the same time I think to myself, like, well that's life, isn't it? That's the way that we are, and I think it's just learning to appreciate that we can feel like that, even one end of the spectrum or the other, I suppose. I'm not really sure if that has anything to do with what you were saying, Dave, but it kind of
No, I
something you said spouted it.
no, I like it. I like it. Dan, you held up that picture just before.
Mm,
Can you share a little bit? Because I've only ever met you once,
yeah.
and you were with Alex, and you came to pick up your mum from Appleby.
Mm,
We were at the Haybiggle Centre, and I mean, we never really got much chance to chat. But the first time I really got to meet you was after you started coming to this community group. And was it your mum who put you into that video of the ocean?
yes.
Can you talk a little bit? Can you possibly just share a little bit, Dan, about first of all what you did? Did you first of all why are you here now? What was the why are you here? Secondly, what you did and the consequences are a bit like that. About something like that
Um,
about what
I'm genuinely here because in the beginning I was so stubborn and I thought it was bullshit. If I'm being completely honest. My mum said to me, she was like, "Oh, you need to listen to this. Like, it'll change your life." And I was, it was about maybe a year before. I was like, "Nah, like I'm okay. Like, I don't need to do this. I don't need to." And then this was at the point where my anxiety and my um intrusive thoughts were the worst. I couldn't I couldn't walk down the stairs without thinking that like I was a paedophile, or I couldn't go and like brush my teeth without thinking that I've got some kind of like HIV or if I've got some cancer or something. It was constant every single minute of every day. That's all it ever was. And it was filled with um like I said, heart palpitations, sweat. I was just sweaty. I was snappy all the time, and this continued for a good 6 or 7 months. And it was at the point right where I just thought to myself, you know what, this is it. I can't do this anymore. And I was completely and utterly broken. And I went to my mum's this day, right, and I thought, you know what, I can't do it. And I sat down and she said, right, just watch this. And it was. It was strange because I think it was one that it wasn't that week that you'd recorded it. It was one from about 6 months prior. But I think that she said that she'd watched it the day before, and there was a couple of things on it that I could have probably picked up on. And honestly, I was like, oh, fuck's sake, right, come on then, let's do it. And I can remember just sitting there watching it, and I was just listening to what was going on. And for all of this time, like for I would probably say about 12 years, I've been looking for a reason why I felt like this. Like I've been looking for the explanation. And as soon as you started explaining about the waves that everything um like the oh you're a paedophile or oh you've got HIV or oh you're anxious or you can't do this, you can't do that. As soon as you started explaining the fact that it was all the same as per what type of yogurt I would have with my breakfast or what um what I was going to have for my tea that day. The minute that you said that, right, like, I literally, and I know this sounds so dramatic, right, but I can remember feeling a single tear run down my face, and I was like, "Shit, it's me! Like I'm the issue. Like it's no one else is to blame. It's me. Like I'm the person that does this to myself." And within that second, I can remember sitting there and my shoulders just shrunk, and I was like fuck. Like I've spent like 12 years looking for an answer to nothing. Like I've been searching for an answer to make me better again. Wherein the whole time there was nothing wrong. It was the it was just that it was that split second where I thought, "Do you know what, fuck it, it's nothing to do with anybody else. Nobody else has made me feel like this. This is the way that I've trained my brain to be. Do you know what? Like there is something wrong with it. Like now, for example, right? Don't get me wrong. I would never say that I've been cured, say. Never say that because at the beginning I did. I was really cocky about it, actually, to be fair. I was very sort of like, ha ha, you can't get me anymore. Like I don't feel anxiety, like fucking but now, like I think I said this before on a community group, and I think I pissed someone off saying it because I can remember he was a bit funny. I don't know who it was, but
Alex.
no, I don't think so.
He pisses me off on the daily
Right,
here.
that's not no, this is not about you. Um, I said I said openly that whenever I feel anxious, that I quite enjoyed it to the point of where I could sit there and feel complete and utter anxiety, but then have the mindset of being, right, how can I tackle it? Or right, how can we get past this? And even then, I think that was too, that was like a really, really cocky moment for me. Because even then I was like, right, I'm just gonna play with it, I'm just gonna see what happens. But now, like I think I just appreciate it for the fact is that I can feel it and like I know that it's there, but it doesn't have any power over me at all. As nothing. Like all of these feelings that we everybody has, like thank God for you to feel them. Like it's not a bad thing. Like it feels like shit, don't get me wrong. Like it is crap, but it's it never gets worse. And I think I've said this as well.
Remember
Like,
you said,
go on.
I remember you saying exactly those words.
Yeah, it just never gets worse. Like every single time that I used to ever feel anxiety or any sort of depression, it was like, oh God, this is horrendous. But then when I thought about it, in the whole 12 years that I was ever sort of on that roller coaster, the top of the roller coaster never got bigger. It was always the same. Nothing, none of my physical symptoms ever got worse. None of the thoughts I had ever got worse. It was always the same stuff. So if it's always the same, why did I always expect it differently each time that these waves would come? It's always just been the same. And even that, having the comfort of knowing that I've been through it all before, it just has no power whatsoever. Like some days I do feel anxious and it really, really frustrates me. But it's that again, that to me is just the norm now. It's not like oh God, I don't want to feel like this. Because what's the point? Like, is that I think it was Catherine that I said that she said that she one week that she just couldn't be bothered to feel like crap. And I absolutely openly agree with that, that we need to learn how to not give a shit about it because it's a waste of time. It's just more of a like think about the now, be in the now, don't think about any sort of like bad feelings that you've had about yourself because it doesn't exist in the now. Like the thing that does exist is what you can do with yourself. And I think ever since having my awakening to life, I guess it's just a lot easier. It's not so I'm not I would never say I'm cured because I don't think there's anything to be cured from, but I think that awakening feeling, that instant second, I can remember driving home on that day and drive because I'm a petrol head, always have been. And I can remember driving home that day and I was like, God, you know what? Feels like I felt like I'd passed my test again and that I had a new set of glasses on because I could everything just looked different. Everything like for weeks and weeks after I can remember specifically there's a farm shop near us and I went with my mum and my grandma and I just looked at the strawberries and I was like, is that what strawberries look like? Like it's just everything was new. Everything was like a new experience, and it was because I'd had the anxiety glasses on for 12 years and thought that was life. That was it for me then. But having that experience by just watching 10 minutes of one of your videos, because that's all it was. That's all it was. It was literally 10 minutes, and it's absolutely transformed the way that I look at life and any sort of anxiety or anything like that. Um,
Even the way you looked at the boys as well.
yeah, like even looking at like my two dogs, like looking at them, it was just like seeing my child for the first time. Like it was just like, wow, like I can't believe these are my dogs. Like
Yeah.
it's just like mental, totally mental.
I
It's
remember my sister after she woke up, she went home. She said I sat down in my living room for the very first time. She'd lived there for like 7 or 8 years. I sat down in the sitting room for the very first time. So I just looked around. I was like, it is seriously dusty in here. Called being present. You actually get to see the world around you, like
completely different.
real time. It's like you with the strawberries. It's actually what strawberries look like. Like you can see how occupied with our thoughts we become so preoccupied, so mesmerized by our thoughts that we forget to experience life and to notice the beauty all around us. And it's always there. Beauty is always there.
Yeah.
It's
It's like that's why I've called me tree Dave.
Huh?
That's why my tree's called Dave.
Yeah,
Every time we go out now, it's like don't be. Every time we leave the house, we go, hello, Dave.
Literally.
what kind of tree is it?
I think it was an oak. Did you say it was an oak tree? Is it an oak tree?
It's a tree.
Yeah, I know it's a tree, Alex, but what type of tree? Did he say it was an oak tree?
Uh,
I don't know. It's a big tree.
It's a wooden one.
Big wooden tree, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
I know what type you
Got a
mean.
tree named after you and a cockroach named after you.
Yeah, I have. I've got a cockroach. I don't know if he's still alive.
No.
It survived a nuclear blast, but yeah, somebody once in Australia, no, New Zealand, wasn't it? She said, "Yeah, I should got this bloody cockroach." She said, "I used to fucking hate it," didn't she? She was trying to kill it. She said, "But when I listen to you speak about, nature and we're nature and they're nature and they're experiencing reality," she said, "I had to call it Dave. Dave was in the bathroom today. Look at," I was like, "Yeah, it sounds like." I was like Dave the cockroach watching her have a shower.
Where's she from, Dave?
New Zealand, mate. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry. That's my bad back. Can't do it.
But yeah, that was my experience in a way. It's strange though because you do get. I think you have you have.
What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? Did you do anything to have that realization?
No, I don't think I did anything that was out of. It was more of a. I don't know how to describe it. I didn't specifically when the day that it happened, I didn't specifically go out looking for it. Put it that way. I didn't. It was just more of a. I was on that sort of.
Did you know it existed?
Uh, like your freedom thinking.
No. That experience. Did you know that experience existed?
Oh, to a fashion, yes. It wasn't like I knew that I would be able to awaken as such, but it was more of a this should help kind of thing.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that because that's why, everybody's on this call. That's why I do this call. That's why Jen does this call. It's because we know, every single one of us knows, and everybody who comes, every single one of your clients, Neil, and any other therapist who's watching this, or anybody else who helps people, they come to you because no matter how desperate they feel and no matter how broken, they come to you because at some level they are aware that there is something different. Why else would you go? Unless you knew at some level there is this potential within me that I can have this different life. You wouldn't bother going. Do you know what I mean? So Dan, I really love your answer just there, mate. Yeah, on one level, I was sure that, you know, but on another level, I don't know where the fuck to look. And it's like it becomes. This is why I feel like this is such a simple conversation, because as you so beautifully described just then, Dan, when you watch the video, it did away with all the illusions. You know, time, the past, what happened to me, you know, the fact that I felt like this for a very long time, you know, what's going on in the future, what potentially might happen, you know, all your ideas about what they said, what it means, what they did, what that means, and all this stuff you've accumulated throughout your life, suddenly in one moment collapses down to the now, and you realize, oh no, it only exists as a thought. It exists as a thought in the now. You know, and when you collapse your entire life down to that point, it is what, and when I say thought, I'm not just talking intellectual thinking, I'm talking the power of infinite creator beingness, our self. It breaks it down to that one point. The power of thought in the now is creating everything I'm experiencing. Thought, infinite creative beingness. Okay. You've suddenly made life very, very simple for yourself, because you've aligned yourself with what's real, the now, and the fact that everything is coming from inside of you. Your whole reality is coming from inside. And when I'm talking about reality, I'm not talking about circumstance. Circumstances are things that take place outside of you: car crashes, weather, conversations, jam jars, cockroaches. Yeah, they're circumstances. However, your experience is your experience of life. It's how you experience all those things. Jen doesn't give a shit about frigging just popping a jam jar on top of a lid.
No, you pop them on top. You don't.
I always turn it.
Yeah, but you don't give a shit about leaving the lid off.
Not now.
So then all the flies,
No.
disgusting stuff.
It's
This is quite a big issue.
Yeah.
At some point, we'll get cancelled.
only been 10 years on it. Neil, book us a space, will you? Thanks, mate. But yeah, when you narrow life down to its fundamentals, it becomes really simple. You know, when you've suddenly collapsed all the complexities of your reality, your life, they collapse into one thing. And you're there and you're going, oh, I've done this to myself. Innocently. Not through self-maliciousness. Innocently. You've done it to yourself innocently because you didn't know. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. You know, it's like you start to find that humility within inside yourself. You start to see the innocence in other people, you know, which instantly makes your life easier. You know, and you're exceptional at that, eh?
Innocent.
Yeah, but I'm not very good at seeing that. I'm not very good at seeing that bit. Not in that. But yeah, it just makes life so much easier. And the thing is, once you've seen it, nobody will take it away from you. It's like, and it's not the goal. You know, it's not like it's somewhere to get to. It's just a new beginning. Because it's like walking through another door. Like Dan, you just described it beautifully again. You walk through this door where all of a sudden you're driving home and you're like, wow, there's beauty all around me. It's like you're walking in a different world. You know, you're then walking in a different world. Well, of course you are, because the world you walk in is not outside of you. It's inside of you. It's created from inside of you. The world you see is however you're creating about it. Every single person you meet is a character you create for them. This person's a bit of a twat. He goes on a bit, doesn't he? Oh, no, he's quite sound, actually. Oh, he's a dickhead. You know, you go through all these different experiences, you know, with one person, and then you speak to Jen, she's like, oh, I just didn't like him at all. Can't stand him. You don't do. Sometimes you do.
But I think that's a nice thing. I think to come across this and see it, I thought at some point I'd have to just see innocence and love people and want to hang out with anyone. And I don't know, it's like we are human and we've got preferences.
You just
and,
got authentic, didn't you?
well, you just you get real. And I
Yeah.
think I can still be kind and considerate to people that I don't gel with, and that's okay. I'm not going to gel with everyone, but I don't blame them for it. But otherwise we end
I
up
think you're also open to seeing them differently as well, aren't you?
but we can also create this like idea of what we're going to be when we see something, and we're not going to be judgmental, and
Yeah.
we're going to see innocence, and I'm going to be,
Wear white.
and I think that's the nice thing. Like you get, actually, no, I'm still here. I'm still going to have thoughts that, I don't know, you're human, and we're all
Yeah.
human, and you
Just
give yourself
become
a
normal.
break. Yeah.
But like I say, in a world that's trying to be superhuman, a world that's trying to be extraordinary, people are trying to be so fucking amazing and interesting and perfect. Just to be normal, you know, you kind of shine a bit because you're just comfortable in your own skin. And the reason why people are showing off and trying to be extraordinary is because they're not comfortable in their own skin. They're trying to polish themselves up, and I don't know. There's something really beautiful about just being accepting of your reality and like just being fluid with it. More wave than particle, Joe. Eh? Science. It's science. I love Jo. She's a physics teacher. She's here. She's mental, isn't she? You can't teach kids. You can't come here and teach kids. No, I love it. Why are you here, John? Yes, you, John. Physics.
Hello, I've not spoken before. Why am I here? Um, I think just to remind myself of this because you just get caught up in life. So yeah, just that reminder.
I love that, love. I love that. Thank you for being here, and congratulations on speaking it. I'm so sorry for sticking you on the spot like that. But, but no, that's it. And I think that's such a beautiful point. We all forget. You know, you don't become aware and then live like it all the time. Like the awareness, that initial insight you get where you suddenly feel, my God, you know, it's like you think you're going to stay there for the rest of your life. You don't. You come back to being human again, and you get mesmerized by the goings on, you know, and tangled up in your feelings and tangled up in your realities, and you forget. And but that's, to me, that's part of the magic. You get to forget, and you get to get tangled up in your reality again. You get to forget you're not the creator. What a beautiful thing. You get to forget that you are not eternally creating your own reality. You get to forget that.
I guess
And
waking
that's where
up
it gets
is such a,
exciting. That's why it's exciting. Go on.
but waking up is such a nice feeling. Like waking up from a bad dream is a nice feeling. When you forget and then you wake up again, like it's a
The
it's a
relief.
beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
Like I got really like not stressed, but Lucia had a brilliant. She's been brilliant the last few days, and then today we were with friends, and we'd had a brilliant day. But I knew it was past 3 o'clock, and it's probably going to start going downhill. So then she'd like already whacked someone on the head. We had a bike helmet on, in fairness, and it was a big yellow one, and it looked like it needed a whack. So she'd whacked someone on the head. She'd done a couple of things, and I said, look, if anything else happens, I think it's probably time for us to leave. And then the next thing I knew, she'd poured her frothy oat milk over their head. So I was like, right, time to go. Like clearing up, and just like, I'm so sorry, everyone. And she's screaming in the middle of the restaurant, and I'm like, but I want some oat milk. I'm like, no, we've got to go now. I said, one more thing, we've got to leave. And I said it to my friend, and then we walked out, and like, just went, oh, why? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that she's just screamed in front of everyone. We were there for about a minute until we left. It's just what it is.
It's not my kid that got milk poured on it.
Well, I did say to her now, his mummy's going
Don't
to wash
matter.
all his clothes, and asked her why she did it, and it was because he'd spilt his hot chocolate on her.
Oh.
So then she was it back. Not on purpose. He didn't do it on purpose. He actually lost his entire hot chocolate. But it's just nice. And then I was just like, oh, wow, like just the tenseness that I can get, and like this is really important, and then oh no, it really isn't that important. It's like, oh my God, this is so important. Oh no, it's not that important. And it's not making life not important, but you see how we very easily kind of give away that like fluid, lovely feeling because we just. But I don't judge it. It's not like, oh God, I really need to do something now because I got really stressed today because that felt intense. It's like next moment. And then she was in the next, and like she was screaming, and then as soon as we were outside, it's like it feels like she knows actually I probably shouldn't be around people at the moment because I'm just going to keep trying to wind them up. And then then she was trying to fall asleep immediately. We got in the car, so I had to talk to her like 45 minutes to keep her awake. And then it's like I know, and I can see the innocence in it. And like when she gets knackered, she starts doing annoying things to other people. It's just what happens at the moment.
It's the sign, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, okay, you need to go to sleep. There's no like judgment in it, and I think that's the nice thing. It doesn't matter how long you've been around this or what you think you've seen or not seen. You can get caught out by your own illusion.
What age do you think it's an acceptable age to start judging a human being for what they do? So, given that Lucy is 3 years old and you kind of go, oh, she's tired, we can accept that. What age do you think is an acceptable age?
I'm sure it'll click in. That's what I mean. Like
to start judging.
At some point you're like, well, you should know better.
Yeah, what age do you think that should
doesn't matter
be?
you're tired. You should know better.
What age should that be?
I remember Helen saying it. I think she said it was when they're around 6.
That...
well, you should know better. No, well, now you're getting close to where you should be able to control your impulses, apparently. So, yeah.
That's it. You know, you realise there isn't really an age that you can like take away the innocence of a human being, like in that respect, like because none of us mean to feel mean. You know, none of us mean to feel upset with one another. None of us mean to get fucking irate with the next person. None of us mean to do that kind of. We don't mean to feel depressed. We don't mean to feel anxious. You know, so it's easy. We can easily see it in a 3-year-old. You know, why can't we see it in a 53-year-old? Sometimes I do struggle with a 3-year-old.
You take it really personal.
Sometimes I do take it really personal.
I'm like, come on, you're not 3, she's 3, and you're like, all right.
That's true. Yeah, but it's a fair point though, and it's like, at what age? You know, why do we cut some people slack and not others? You know, and why do we cut other people slack and not ourselves? You know, we don't mean to do this shit. We don't mean to feel like crap sometimes.
It has been interesting. Like you mentioned something earlier about you get present and you're in awe. Both of us love watching Lucia when she was when she was first born. Like that first 3 weeks, it seemed like it stretched forever. She would just lay on us when she was like, should either be asleep
Before
or
she learned to talk.
Yeah, but she used to just like watch, like light flickering, and like you could, I don't know, she just like we had a stained glass window, so we've got no idea what she was seeing, but she'd just stare at it and be mesmerized by everything. Yeah, just it was amazing watching like a consciousness so open and I don't know, wide and just present with, and like the shock of a noise and all of it was just fascinating to watch. And then watching character come in and
but watching that experience without all the identity created around it, or without all the labeling, without all the kind of like good, bad, right, wrong. She hadn't developed any of that. There was like you just said,
measurement of anything.
Yeah, just the openness that was experienced because there was no suffering in her, was there?
It was just it's just sensation.
Yeah, she cried when she was hungry, or you know, she
had a nappy change.
She needed a nappy change or something like that, but she didn't cry other than that, did she? Now she whinges and cries at all kinds of things.
She's learning from you.
Yeah, she's learning from me to judge. But it's you see, it comes from judgment, and it comes from what we're creating. We are the ones that create it because we get to see the little being before it creates its identity, before it creates its ego.
And how she used to so quickly let things come and go, things come and go, and now she can hold on to something for a really long period of time. Yeah. Like today, Dave went off with the car keys and I was in a rush, and then I suddenly realised he'd got the car keys, and she's like, why would he do that? He knows we're going to meet my friends. I was like, I don't think he's done it on purpose. They're probably just in his pocket. Like, but why would he do that? I was just like, it was an accident. Like, come on. But it's interesting seeing that come in, because you see she creates a lot more dissatisfaction, a lot more suffering, because she judges and holds on to things and doesn't just let things come and go. She's got, yeah, really good at holding on. But you can see again, that's not, I don't think at any point she's gone, right, now I'm going to start taking life really seriously and holding on to things. It seems to be what naturally happens to beings here on Earth. And then you see the innocence in it again, like, wow. Like she blows my mind. Like your mum was saying today, I've never known a child so young just be so fascinated in everything. And like she was walking along today, and if she saw a dog, she'd go, oh, how gorgeous that dog is. It's, oh, I just want to squeeze it. And then she'd be like, look at the light over there on that hill, mummy. Look at it. Look at it. And it's like, so she's got the extremes, but then she's also got this, when she falls present into just life and she's not like obsessing about a tea bag or smacking someone on the head, she gets really present with, and she notices beauty, and she's all of it, and I love her for all of it. And
we're all that. Every single one of us is that.
But you can see it's not on purpose.
No.
And like the random things that get important to her, like for us, the things that feel important
look as real.
Yeah, just look just as real.
We're all mental. All mental. Anybody want to say anything? Questions, reflections, observations?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sorry, crap myself then.
I have a question.
I was really loud out of my computer.
Oh,
Hi.
is that your tag? Is your top on back to front?
No, it's not on back to front, Kendra. No.
Oh, right.
It's on the right way around.
There is a tag at the back as well.
Yeah, but that's the right way around.
Yeah.
So it says it's a merino wool Rafa t-shirt.
Oh, right.
It's meant to be.
What was your tag? You've frozen. I'm taking a screenshot of that.
To be fair, I've been wondering the same for the last half an hour.
Yeah, I've been like waiting for the right moment to ask.
One awful place to freeze on.
I know.
That is so unlucky, isn't it?
Look at that judgment coming from Dave in that still frame. Oh, he's had a nightmare here.
He's disappeared off my screen.
Oh. What happens now the teacher's gone?
I have gathered you all here today.
It's still being
there we
recorded.
go.
We should probably be on good behaviour.
Oh, at the back.
God. What did that freeze on?
You sticking your finger up?
Oh no, I knew
You
it
knew
would.
it
I
did.
knew it would. Sorry about that. The
Did anyone
Wi-Fi
screenshot
dropped
it?
out. It's very much gone on to... Anyway, any more questions, Kendra?
No, that's it
No way.
for now.
Damn.
Actually, almost doing that.
That's exactly what I was doing.
That picture.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you
Great.
personally, not in your group.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. No, it's a Rafa merino wool t-shirt. Charity shop. Thanks, Kendra.
All right, it's not a problem.
Put your camera on.
Oh, yeah. Oh wait, is it on?
Yeah, it's on. What are you wearing?
It's dark in here. I'm wearing my pajamas.
Oh, good. Oh, all right. Nice to see you.
Oh yeah, nice to see you too.
When is this event? So it's got one.
Sessions in London, Beyond Thought, a journey into mind, thought and consciousness in London on November the 22nd and 23rd at 10 a.m. until 4 p.m.
22nd, 23rd of which month?
I already said it, didn't I?
Did you?
In London on November 22nd and
Oh,
23rd.
November, yeah. So 22nd, 23rd, we got an event in London, which is Essex.
Yes.
Essex,
Near Malden.
near Malden, where all the sea salt comes from. 22nd,
Not all the sea
23rd,
salt.
a lot of sea salt comes from.
But
All
not
the
all.
Malden sea salt comes from there.
Yeah, but not.
Yeah, and we've also got an event we're speaking at this week. Can we advertise that? No.
Don't know.
Well, that's all professional and stuff. We've also got an event in the Northeast
On the 31st.
on the 31st of this month,
That's Thursday.
Thursday. This coming Thursday.
No, it's on Friday.
Friday.
Friday. We're driving there on Thursday.
That's right, it's Friday, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, Friday in the Northeast. Where is it? Do you know?
At the community centre
At the community centre
in the Northeast.
in the Northeast. If you're interested, info@freedomthinking.co.uk, or if you're on the WhatsApp Telegram group, drop us a message. We'll send you a link.
You said it was in Saltburn.
Did I say Saltburn?
No, Jen told me it was Saltburn.
I thought it was
That's what you told me
Saltburn,
the other day.
but I might have made that up.
Oh, but yeah, we're like I'm literally like 20 minutes away from Saltburn.
It might not be Saltburn. I think it's
Oh,
I think it's near the Seaglass Beach that we went to.
that's Seaham.
Yes, I think it's not far from like an hour from there.
We'll find out. We'll put it in the WhatsApp Telegram group.
It's someone
yeah,
else
find out. I'll be quite interested.
arranged a conference and we're speaking at it. That's
Yeah.
why we don't know any details.
Yeah, so we're just turned up to speak at it, but it is on. Ange, did you want to say something? Oh, we're frozen again.
Mhm.
We did. Ange, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I'm interested in that one in the northeast because I can come with our dad. Me and
Yeah.
our dad go.
Cool. Well, I'll
So,
send
yeah,
the information. I'll send.
put the details in. That would be great.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. Does anybody else want to say anything? Oh, what have I done? Oh, we're back. Sorry about this.
Should we start recording?
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you. Neil, thanks so much for your question, bud. Loads of love. Really, really appreciate you bringing that, mate. Yeah. My name's Dave Ellery. This is Jen. We're Freedom Thinking. Yeah, if you wish to make a donation, links in the description below. Hopefully we'll be there Monday next week.
Yep.
Yep, Monday next week we will be back. God knows where we'll end up. Just thank you all so much for being here, and thank you everybody who's watching this on catch up. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment, and all that stuff. Thank you. Bye.